Hi, my name is Eleanor Henderson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a passion of mine. And I really believe in self-advocacy, and I believe that even children who might have low or very limited vocal skills can still be participants in their IEP meetings, because after all, isn't it about the student? The First Amendment of the Bill of Rights of the United States of America partially states that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Yet one of the most disturbing trends found in special education is the inclusion of students from the process of the Individualized Education Plan meetings due to non- or low vocal capabilities. While the First Amendment does not apply to children, I've given it as an example because adults would never be okay with having their First Amendment rights taken away. Another way to think about it is to imagine trying someone in absentia. That's what it's like to conduct an IEP meeting without the focused student. It's not unfounded to believe that someone with a disability that prevents them from vocally responding would be unable to express their likes or dislikes when the belief is based solely on the lack of verbalized evidence. However, vocal communication is not the only form human beings have been endowed. Other forms of communication, such as body language and facial expressions, aid us in relaying our likes, dislikes, needs, or wants. Plus, with the way today's technology has advanced, communicating with someone can be an easier hurdle to overcome than it ever was before. I understand firsthand how frustrating it can be when you want the very best for a student you're working with, but you aren't provided with the proper tools or time to effectively communicate with them. I once worked for a month with a student diagnosed with ASD as well as with cerebral palsy who was completely nonvocal. Additionally, with all the other actual challenging behaviors in my classroom, it made spending quality time with her very difficult. She had no assistive technology, and the only indication of how she was feeling, whether pleased or uncomfortable, was through her body movements. I left that job feeling very discouraged about not having known what I could have done to help her succeed academically or socially. One of my key thoughts at the time was, how on earth can I possibly help this child actively participate in her IEP meeting when she seems to have no way of communicating effectively? But after discussing the scenario with a colleague of mine, she reassured me that given enough time and by having a connection with the child's family, I could eventually have gotten to the point of recognizing her more subtle forms of communication. This is an extreme example to present because she also had little to no fine or gross motor skills. So then, how can my child or student participate? According to Edward P. Snyder's article, for students with combined cognitive limitations and behavioral disorders, post-school outcomes are poor, and their lives are marked by a lack of independence and empowerment. So, it's to the child's benefit to help them gain self-advocacy skills that can be gleaned from being a part of planning their own IEP meeting. Sometimes just being there is one way to participate, even if it's not as ideally active as we would like. Even if a child has vocal challenges, as long as they can communicate in some form, then they can participate in their IEP meeting. Any means, such as a PowerPoint presentation, a picture or a video presentation, drawings, notes, anything can be a powerful tool to the individual who struggles with vocal capabilities. Using these avenues, they can express their desires and dislikes more clearly. Right about now, you might be saying to yourself, but it's so much to include a child who has no vocal capabilities in their IEP planning. Addressing every aspect of the IEP with a student with vocal communication deficits might seem overwhelming. Therefore, in order for the school child to have some amount of participation in an IEP, it might be more feasible to start with one area of planning. An overarching concern for parents, guardians, and families of children who have little to no vocal capabilities is that of safety. Because of the potential mortal dangers that accompany lack of safety skills, this would be a good place to start including the child in the IEP process. It directs attention to one of the most important areas of a person's life. Let me give you an illustration of the importance of including a child without vocal interaction skills in the portion of IEP conference which discusses safety skills. Since we're going to focus on safety, then I'm going to hone in a bit more and speak specifically about elopement. Elopement is a very real concern among those who have children with ASD. Because of this concern, It's a good place to start when discussing safety as part of the IEP planning. Anderson and her colleagues wrote an article that focused on promoting awareness of the very real and dangerous issue of elopement in children with ASD. The researchers defined elopement as a dependent person exposing him or herself to potential danger by leaving a supervised, safe space or the care of a responsible person. Among the chief alarms of elopement is the potential risk of drowning, abduction, or other perilous scenarios like motor accidents. According to the results of the study, a very large portion, 49%, of children with ASD had eloped at least once by the age of 4. Plus, enough time had passed for 53% of those who had eloped to be considered at a higher risk of injury or death. Specifically, it was indicated that 65% of elopers came very close to injury through traffic and 24% were at risk for drowning. Regarding lethal outcome statistics showed that 90% of them were caused by drowning. One of the nicest features of a child being a part of the safety planning portion of their IEP is that it can start as early as their elementary school rather than waiting until the child is already in their teenage years. He or she can learn the value of being a part of planning for their future as well as the potential for self-advocacy at a primary age. So, let's see what the research has to say. Research has shown the importance of self-directed IEP meetings even for those vocally challenged. The article by David Hagner and his associates demonstrated student participation in meetings through the use of note writing by the student, which was then read aloud by another meeting member, the use of an assistive communication device, or a thumbs up, thumbs down response. In Murphy's, Clegg's, and Almack's 2011 study, some of the student participants could only point or use sign language or hand gestures. Both of these articles show how even the most profoundly disabled person can be a part of their IEP meetings. The child is not the only one who will benefit from safety planning. Parents of children who have previously encountered safety issues can help teachers and other staff members understand the extreme dangers and help establish ways to increase the child's safety. When the family is part of the planning process, they provide important information regarding the life of the person of focus. According to Whitney Thomas et al., the sharing of this information assists with the person-centered planning as the application of the data allows the focus to be on the individual's goals. Among such aspects of the person's life is the familiarity with the mannerisms such as hand gestures, body language, and things like that express just how the non- or low vocal person is feeling or what they might be thinking. Just as parents can share vital details about the child's life with the teachers and service personnel, the teachers and service personnel can make families aware of available resources that they may otherwise have been unaware of at the time of the meeting. Together, they can tackle such issues as bullying, sexual abuse, wandering elopement, and other general issues such as poisoning and auto and bus safety, which are all especially concerning to families of children who cannot communicate vocally. One of the diagnostic criteria for those with ASD, as defined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is a deficit in nonverbal communicative behaviors. Therefore, having them present and ideally involved in the safety planning area of the IEP meeting is critical. When Snyder implemented his intervention to teach teenagers with intellectual, developmental, and behavioral disabilities how to lead their own IEP meetings, he found that teaching self-determination as part of the IEP meeting process improved the students' ability to manage their IEP meetings across instructional sessions. He encouraged the concept that including students who receive special education services helps them to acquire and improve self-determination skills. Having a student with communication difficulties participate in the planning and conducting of the safety portion of their IEP meeting is the perfect opportunity for them to exercise the self-advocacy skills they will have learned through interventions. The use of such interventions can lead to significant changes in student goal attainment as well as increased self-advocacy skills. Plus, safety issues are critical to the well-being of the individual. Therefore, having the focused person as a participant in this area also provides the opportunity for families and educators to emphasize the importance of safety skills. Every child, even those communicatively limited, has a voice of some kind. The challenge for educators is to listen to the child in order for that voice to be heard.